All right, we are at the top of the hour, so let's begin. I want to welcome all of you to this month's ACT training webinar. For those of you who are new to this series, this is a monthly webinar that we are providing just to give you a little bit of training on some areas of ACT Premium Desktop, ACT Premium Cloud that you might not be using yet. We want to help you expand your knowledge of ACT so that you can get the most out of it and see how it can work for you even better than before. So let's begin. Today on our agenda, we're going to talk about the sales pipeline management, including things like how to manage your sales process, the stages within that process, even creating your own process and a list of stages. We'll also talk about products and services. There's an area inside the opportunity management area where you can list your products and your services and add those to your opportunities, including costs and the price values associated with those items. Then I'm going to walk you through what we like to call end-to-end opportunity management. So we'll be creating an opportunity, walking it through each of the stages towards closure, and then we'll see how that reflects in different areas of ACT. I'm going to show you how to manage the sales pipeline. So there's a view inside the opportunities area that shows you key performance indicators. There's some charts in there that you can see and a Kanban board that lets you interact with individual opportunities by clicking and dragging them around. And finally, we'll look at ACT Insight. This is our dashboard reporting and chart feature, which will show you the health of your business from kind of a high level. And then we can drill down into individual charts to show how your opportunities are driving your business. Now, during this entire presentation, there is a Q&A option for you. So if you're in Zoom, go to your Q&A panel and use that to ask any questions that apply to this topic. I've got Daniel Horn on the horn here, and he's going to help answer some questions. But please try to stay on topic because we're focusing on the opportunity and opportunity pipeline area of ACT today. This webinar is being recorded, so if you're worried about forgetting something you've seen here or you want to share it with somebody else at your company, we will be sending out a link to this video later on. This is the fourth in our installment of this series, so I believe we also have links to previous videos as well. And then at the end, we have a survey. If there's any topics that you'd like to ask, you'd like us to cover, please include that in the survey at the end of this session so that we can make sure we're showing and teaching you the things that you want to learn. My name is Brent Milner. I've been in Arizona my whole life. I'm still here. Currently I'm up in the mountains in Flagstaff, so I'm no longer in the desert. I'm up where it's cooler. I've been working with ACT for over 16 years now. So my job at the company is to create training videos for new hires and for customers to create a learning curriculum to help educate people about ACT, whether you're working for the company or whether you're a customer. And that's it about me. So let's start by talking about the sales process inside of ACT. Now, ACT comes with a process, several different processes that you can use out of the box, or you can create your own custom process. Now, when I say sales process, what am I talking about? Well, your company has a sales pipeline, and it begins when you have your first lead, your first bite into a possible sale. And when that happens, what you've done is you've entered into the first stage of this process. And you will nurture that lead or that opportunity or whatever you want to call it. You'll nurture that along its sales pipeline until you get a resolution, whether you've won the deal or lost the deal. Whether you know it or not, it's going through stages of that process. And so in ACT, we have a way to track that for you. You can use one of the ones that we provide out of the box, or you can create your own custom process to meet whatever business needs that you have. And so I want to show that to you. I have a virtual machine going here, and some of you are on the desktop version of ACT, and some of you are on the cloud version. So I'm going to try and show you as much as I can from both areas so that you'll see something that is familiar to you. And I'm going to start by going into the cloud area, and there's a reason for that. So I'm looking at Act Premium Cloud, and I'm looking at the opportunities area. You can see here's a list view of all of my opportunities. I have it filtered on the right to show all of my opportunities by all dates, but I'm only showing my open opportunities. And then here in my opportunity list view, I can sort by any of these column headers. I usually like to sort by estimated close date so that I can see which opportunities are supposed to be closing first. Now, inside each of these opportunities, what we will see is that they are assigned to specific stages. And this is what I'm talking about when I mention the opportunity process or the sales process. If I just look at one of these opportunities, I'll click it to view its details, we'll be able to see the process and stage area. So the process I'm using is called Act Sales Cycle. Now, this is one of the default processes that is given to you, provided to you out of the box as an Act customer. And inside this Act Sales Cycle, I can expand my list of stages down below, and it shows me that there are 6 stages here, from initial communication, which is the first stage, all the way through to the final stage, sales fulfillment, at which point we would either close this opportunity with a win or with a loss, or change it to being inactive in the status area. So what I'm going to show you how to do is to create your own process. Maybe you don't want to use this Act Sales Cycle process or the new technology process or the promotional sales cycle. I believe these are the 3 that come to you out of the box. I've created my own custom one called Machinery. And so if you're in Act Cloud, the way you can create your own custom sales process is by going to the Tools menu and then choosing Define Fields. Now, the reason I'm beginning here with the cloud version is because what will happen for you when you do this is you'll get a countdown screen that says, we need to lock this database, and we're going to give all of our users 3 minutes to finish what they're doing before we lock them out of the database, because we're about to make a change to the schema or the structure of the database, and we can't do that while people are logged in, or we'll have data collisions and will cause problems within the database. So you can give your customers a countdown, a minimum of 3 minutes, and you can increase that if you need to. At which point, when you enable that countdown, you'll see in the lower right corner that there is a countdown. It'll be counting down in seconds until your database is locked. Once that countdown hits 0, you'll see this message that says database is locked. And then at this point, you'll see this Define Field screen where you can now manage your process list. So I'm going to click that, and it'll open up. I got an error there. Try that again. Maybe it's because I have not properly locked my database. I'll show this to you in the desktop version because the versions are essentially the same. Once you get to the point where you've locked your database, you'll see the exact same screens. So in the desktop version, again, I'm going to manage my process list. And now this shows me my manage process lists screen. It shows me the current processes that I have in my database. So I see the Act Sales Cycle, the new technology process, and promotional sales cycle. These are the ones that are provided to you out of the box. But you can create a new one. You can edit any of these if you want as well. If I wanted to edit the Act Sales Cycle one, I'll just highlight that and click Edit Opportunity Process. I can rename it if I want. I can give it a description. On the next screen, I can decide what my stages are going to be called, and I can assign a probability of success for each one of those stages. And I'll talk about that number in a little bit. It essentially means, what is your probability of winning this opportunity when it's at the current stage? So maybe for me, by the time I hit my presentation stage, maybe I win 40% of those opportunities. And this is just a rough value you can put in here. You can change these percentages on the fly as you're working with individual opportunities. This is kind of a default value. So if you don't want to change this default Act Sales Cycle process, if you want to create your own process, you can do that too. So from the Manage Process list, what we'll do is we will create a new opportunity process. Now I just have to give it a name. I'm just going to call it support contracts. Maybe I want to have a different process for when I'm selling my goods versus when I'm providing services. So maybe those follow sort of different kinds of paths along my sales cycle. So now I've created that. I have to create stages for it. So I might begin, my first stage might be a new customer. And for me, I know that whenever someone's a new customer, I have some communications that I want to send to their way to let them know, hey, you're a new customer. We have these support options for you. Are you interested in those? So maybe 1 out of 10 people will go for that at this point in the process. Now, if I click add, I can create a second stage. So maybe I will call this send information. And during that stage, maybe I send them everything that they need to know regarding these support contracts, what they entail, how much they cost, and so on. So I'll give that its own probability value as well. Maybe there's a negotiation stage where we talk on the phone or in person, and we figure out the best deal that suits all of us. And maybe I'm a good negotiator. Maybe by that time, I'm going to close 3 out of 4 of the deals that get to that stage. And finally, I'll just call it fulfillment. And you can create as many stages as you want. I'm just doing this as an example of several stages that we could create. Once you have your stages all set up, click finish, and it'll immediately add that process along with its stages into your database. And it can now immediately be used in any of your opportunities that you're creating. So why am I starting here by talking about the sales process? Well, I think it's important as you're setting up ACT for your company that if you're going to use your opportunities, as you track your opportunities, you should be using a sales process that reflects your business so that as you create new opportunity records and you progress them through the sales pipeline, you're placing them in stages that make sense to you. So let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about, and that is products and services. Similar to the sales process, you can set up products and services in a table in your ACT database that will now be used with your opportunity records. I also recommend setting up your products and your services before you really dive into opportunities. Although if you've already started using opportunity records, that's fine too. You can add your products and services to your product list at any time. Now on these product lists, you'll see 4 columns: the name of your product, the item number. Now this is just an arbitrary number that you might have for your products and your services, any kind of catalog number that you use. That's what this item number field is meant to do. Then we have a cost field. This is what it costs you to produce or provide a service. And then the price column is what you're selling it for. This is great because now you can figure out, your costs versus your revenues. So let me show you in ACT how to work with your products and services table or your products and services lists inside ACT. There's several ways to access this. If you're looking at an opportunity, one of the things you can do is go to your opportunities menu and choose Manage Product List. And this is available both in the desktop and the cloud version of ACT. Or you can also go to your Tools menu, choose the Define Fields option here again, and choose Manage Product List. Whichever way you go, you're going to reach this screen. And it's just a spreadsheet looking screen that shows all of your current products in your database, their number, their cost, and their price. And of course, this list can be sorted however you want, by number, by name, just to see what products you have there. Let's say I want to add a new product to this list. It's really easy to do. You just click the Add button. It adds a new entry down at the bottom. And now we would begin typing the name of this product. So I'm going to call this a goblet glass, one color. I'll give it a number. I don't know what number I'm going to give it. 1201 maybe. and the cost. What does it cost me to either purchase this or produce this item? Say $3.15. And how much am I going to sell it for? I'll say $6.50. And just like that, I've entered a new product into my list. What if you have lots of products though, and you don't want to go through this step each time? You already have them maybe in a spreadsheet or something. Well, here we have an import button, which allows you to import a spreadsheet into this table. Now I have a spreadsheet that I created ahead of time. It's got a couple products in there, glass cleaner and glass sanitizer, along with all the products, numbers and costs and prices. So I'm going to import this spreadsheet. It's a comma separated value spreadsheet. It's a CSV. So I'm going to close this window and I'm going to import this spreadsheet. I think I saved it to my imports directory. Here it is, products. And I'll click open. Then I have some questions. Do I want to replace products with the same name? So maybe I've made some changes to my prices in my spreadsheet. If I check this box, it will replace any of the ones that have the same name. So this is useful if you're managing your costs and your prices externally to ACT. This will just replace those values in your database. If you have a header on your spreadsheet, which I do, then you want to check this box so that header gets ignored during the import. So I clicked import and it tells me, okay, 2 products have been successfully imported. And that's fantastic. I can check that now by just sorting this by alphabetically. And if I scroll down, I can see I have my glass sanitizer product and my glass cleaner product, which have just been now added to this list. So that's how you manage your products. And it's important, I think, to have products in your database, as you'll see later on, because there are tables inside our ACT Insight dashboard feature that will report on the products that you've sold in the past and the products that are currently in open opportunities on your sales pipeline. This just gives you another view to see which products are most popular, which ones are most in demand, which ones are not moving, so that you can make sales or business decisions based upon that information. So it's a good idea to populate that product list with your actual products. Okay, next up, I want to talk about the actual management of opportunity records. I want to look at a lot of the different fields that are available for you to view, to record data against, such as the status of your opportunity. What are your opportunities worth? And then even dates surrounding your opportunities. How close are they to their expected closure? What changes need to be made? And then even maybe creating activities surrounding your opportunities. Maybe during certain stages, you'd like to create a meeting or a call or a to-do item so that you don't forget about anything that needs to happen for any of the opportunities that are in your pipeline. So let's take a look at this. I'm back in my opportunities area and I'm looking at a specific opportunity, looking at the detail view for one of my opportunities that has an estimated close date of tomorrow. Okay. The name of this opportunity is Oktoberfest 2022. I usually just put the name of the company in parentheses there so that when I'm looking at it at a glance, it rings a bell for me. But you can name your opportunities however you want. Beneath that, we have some values. So the total value is the sum or the subtotal of all of your products and services that exist for this opportunity. So when I created this opportunity, I added products and services to it to give it a certain value. If I had a conversation with my contact here and they said, hey, you know what, we want to add an additional product to this, is it too late? I'd say no. All I have to do is click the products and services tab for this opportunity. And then down below, click the add button. When I do that, it's going to open my add edit product window. And the first dropdown is for name. And this is what populates all the products that I've added to my product list. So maybe they wanted to add one of the new products I just created, this goblet glass, one that I typed in manually. There it is. It appears here. When I tab away from that dropdown, it's going to populate all the other fields with the fields from my product list. So the item number, The cost is $3.15. The price is $6.50. All I have to really do is enter a quantity. So I would ask them, how many of these products do you want to buy? How many of these glasses? And they say, 200 should be enough. Okay. As soon as I enter the quantity in, it updates my subtotal down below to tell me, all right, this is going to add $1,300 to the total value of this opportunity. But maybe I'm talking with this customer, and for whatever reason, I've decided to give them a discount of some kind. There's two ways to discount a product when you're adding it to an opportunity. You can either give it a new hard price, like let's say $6. I'll sell these to you for $6 since you're such a loyal customer. I'll cut you a deal. What that'll do is it will update the subtotal to be reflecting of that. So now it's $6 times 200 is $1,200. Now you'll notice in this discount field, it has also calculated what type of discount I'm giving him or them. It's a 7.69231% discount. Maybe after talking around, maybe that's not big enough of a discount. Maybe 10% makes more sense. Well, what I can do is just in this discount field, if I wanted to give them a flat rate discount, type in 10%. When I tab out of that field, it makes another adjustment here. It tells me that 10% of $6.50 would be $5.85 if I give them a 10% discount. So these fields just get recalculated based upon changing one or the other. Once I click OK, it adds that new product to my list of products, including a new subtotal on the right. And then at the top, the new total of this opportunity has already been adjusted to reflect that product. So beneath that, we see this weighted value. Well, where is that? What is that derived from? The weighted value is basically taking your total value, multiplying it times the probability, and that gives you the weighted value. So why is this important? Well, the way I like to explain this is as my opportunities progress in stages towards closure, as they get nearer and nearer to the end, they become, their weighted value increases because we're getting closer and closer to closing it with a win. Now they're getting closer and closer to 100%. If I wanted to sort all of my opportunities by that philosophy, I could choose to focus on the opportunities that have the highest weighted value. Because for me, maybe my philosophy says I want to get the most bang for my buck right away. So 80% of $8,000, this opportunity is worth a lot more than say 10% if it was early on in the stages. So at that point, maybe I'm not going to focus on this one yet. Maybe I'd rather focus on an opportunity that's later on in the stages because it's so close to being closed. And so that's really what this weighted value is meant to do, to give you kind of an extra facet in the diamond of this opportunity, just to see how close we are, and just a little nudge and we can close this out and call it a win. So that's what those two fields are meant to do, the weighted field and the probability field, just to give you a little extra insight onto maybe prioritizing your opportunities. Now, down below that, we have our dates field. So this opportunity was opened in July. It tells me now as a calculated field how many days it's been open. And then my estimated close date. This is a date that I can put in there. And at any time, if I've had some conversations with people and we've decided this is going to be delayed, I can change this date field to say, you know what, maybe it won't close till Monday. This just lets me know how close one of these opportunities is to reaching its final stage and closure. There is a save button here. In the Act Premium Cloud version, it does an auto save for you, but you can still click save there as well. I try to always remember to click save just because I'm kind of paranoid about losing data. Now in the status field, this tells you the status of your opportunity. Is it open? Is it closed? Did you win? Or is it closed? Did you lose? Or maybe you talked to the customer and they said, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on with our company right now. We're still interested in this, but we just have to put this on hold for 6 months or a year or whatever. If you set this to inactive, that's a way of keeping the opportunity without it showing that it's a potential loss in your report. So if you set it to inactive, it just kind of puts it on the back burner for you, and then you can readdress it later on. Process and stage. This is the process that we were using, Act Sales Cycle. We'll see that my new support contracts process now shows up in the drop-down list. And when we create a new opportunity, I'll choose that one to show you how that looks. But let's say that we've talked to this customer and they're ready to go to the final stage where we fulfill our obligations. They've sent me I've sent them an invoice. They've paid that invoice, and now I just need to fulfill my end of it, whether it's shipping my products to them or delivering whatever service that we've agreed upon. At that point, I could say, leave it in sales fulfillment until it has been completely fulfilled. And then at that point, we'll need to close the opportunity. Now, to close an opportunity, it's really easy. All you have to do is change the status from opened to closed, whether you won or lost. As soon as you click save, a few things are going to happen. It's going to update this actual close date to today's date. You can change that as well. If it closed yesterday, you can always change that date. It's also going to give this a probability of 100 because now that you've won, there's no chance of losing. So it reaches its potential and it applies this amount, this value, to any of the reports that we're going to look at later on. Okay, so that's how you walk an opportunity that's currently open through to closure. Now, if I click on my list view to show all of my opportunities, remember, I have a filter on the right that's saying showing only my open opportunities. The Oktoberfest opportunity that I just closed won't show up here on my list anymore because it's closed. So let's create a new opportunity. Let's say that somebody wants to purchase one of those support contracts that I'm selling. Well, creating a new opportunity is pretty easy. There's lots of different places where you can do this. From your opportunities menu, you could choose new opportunity. We have a big new button at the top of the screen. In the cloud version of ACT, that new opportunity button, let me go to the cloud area here, appears over on the right. So if you're in your opportunities area and you click this new button, that'll also open a new opportunity for you. Once you open an opportunity, it's pretty much identical whether you're on the desktop version of ACT or the cloud version of ACT. You need to give this opportunity a name. We'll call it, I'm just going to call it support contract, maybe 1 year. I'll put 1 year here. Okay. Now we need to give it an open date. Let's say it opened today. When do I expect that we'll make a deal here? I expect it won't take too long, maybe middle of November. We'll probably close it by then. It's my estimated close date. And now I'm going to leave it as an open status. But in my process and stage area, maybe I'm not going to use my ACT sales cycle because that's more revolves around the actual goods that I'm selling. But since I've created my new support contracts process, I'm going to choose that. Now beneath that, we can see I have all the stages that I created here. New customer, send information, negotiate, and fulfillment. But you also notice that I could edit these list values if I wanted to right here. If I click edit list values, it's going to take me back into my manage process list where I could add or edit or change any of the things I see here. But I'm happy with it the way it is. So I'm going to leave it as new customer. This person is in their first stage. They're a new customer. So I want to reach out to them about maybe purchasing a support contract. Okay. I need to assign this to somebody. Who is this customer? That's why we have a contacts tab down below. So I would need to add or remove a contact to this opportunity. And so I'm just going to choose one of these. Let's choose Pete Allen from Wild Blue Yonder. I'm going to select him and click the right arrow to move Pete over into the selected contacts column. And now I'll click OK. So this will add Pete to this opportunity. In the association area at the right, it'll say the name of the person and any companies that they're linked to. Which is great because now if I look at the company record, I'll be able to see this opportunity on the opportunities tab for the company. So this information gets displayed, cross-referenced in different areas of ACT. The last thing I need to do then, of course, is add products and services to this opportunity. Now, I don't think I've created any support contract services here, but I can certainly edit this value and do that right now. So I'll call it support 1 year. And then I need to give it a number. I don't really know how much this is going to cost me. So I'm just going to put in some random number here. Forgive me if my support is too expensive or too cheap. I don't know what it costs. We'll just put $25,000 there. It's probably way too much. Now, once I click OK, I should be able to find this support item in my product list. Okay. It adds all those figures in there for me. And if I want to make any changes, I can. Again, I can give a discount. Well, we're charging way too much for support. Let's give them half off for that first year. And I'll click OK. So it'll add this support service to this opportunity. So now it has a value. It has a weighted value based on the probability. And so I can click save. So usually what I like to do at this point is reach out then to this customer. I want to reach out to Pete to just say, hey, you're a new customer of ours. Let's talk about this support contract or the support option for you. There's several ways to do that. I can click any of these meeting buttons at the top. If I just want to call them, I can click the call button at the top. One of the cool things that it does is it associates this activity with Pete and with his company and with this opportunity record that I've just created. So that's kind of cool. All I have to do is put something in the regarding field, just say new customer support, reach out or communication or whatever I want to call it. This is a call type. So I just need to schedule it somewhere on my calendar. I'll do it for Thursday. We'll say Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock. If I'm a manager type, I could schedule it for any of the other sales reps at my company. So if I know that Pete has been working closely with Fran Turkleton, I'll assign it to Fran, and it'll show up on Fran's calendar when he logs in. I can set priorities and all those other things that you would normally do with activities. And when I click OK, this activity will get created for Pete, for Fran, and also for this opportunity. If I click the opportunity tab now, I can see that there is a call scheduled. And this is just a good idea, a way that you can use your activities area along with your opportunities areas in ACT so that nothing really slips through the cracks. I could set up a to-do item to, maybe send marketing or support information over to Fran or to Pete. I could create all those kinds of activities just to make sure that we don't miss anything. Now, one of the other things I want to show you here inside the opportunities area, we've seen the list view a little bit, but I also want to look at this pipeline view. Now, the pipeline view is going to really focus on your opportunities that are currently open. The first thing you'll notice are these graphs and informative things at the top of the screen. This graph shows us the sales pipeline. So all of our opportunities, and it's showing them here either by count or by value. And the graph on the left shows the stages along my ACT sales cycle. The reason I know it's my ACT sales cycle is because on the right, there's a little options frame that I can open, and it's just showing me all of my opportunities on my ACT sales cycle process. If I change this to now show my support contracts, it'll show me, okay, I only have one opportunity here. It's the one I just opened with Pete. It's in the new customer stage. If I switch to the count, it's telling me there's only one opportunity here in this stage, and its value is $12.50. So you have to use the filters on the right to switch between your different sales processes to show you the opportunities that are in the pipeline for that process. I use my ACT sales cycle one more, so that's why I'm going to stick with that and show you the screen based on the opportunities in that cycle. So I can see from looking here, there's a huge value of opportunities in this negotiation stage. Right away, as a sales manager, I might say, hey, this is our bottleneck right now, at least monetarily. Let's get on the phone. Let's schedule some calls. Let's start negotiating and see if we can just push some of those through to the next stage. Or if I want to switch to my count, that'll just show me, oh, I have an equal number of opportunities in each stage. So that gives me a little bit different information. It wasn't necessarily that there were tons of opportunities in that negotiation stage. It just so happens that the opportunities in that stage are have a high value on them. So between these two views of this same information, I can make some quick decisions as a sales manager as to what we want to prioritize. The opportunity KPIs on the right, these just give you some quick stats based on your open opportunities. It tells me I have 10 open opportunities, the total value of all of them together, the forecasted value, meaning where they currently are in the pipeline, and then also the average age of all of my opportunities combined. Just gives me some quick information on that I might want to use make some decisions based off that. Down below, we have an interactive Kanban board. And one of the things that I can do in my filters menu is I can sort of hide these charts at the top to give me more real estate to interact with my Kanban board. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just toggle the switch over, which will hide those graphs at the top. And now I can interact with the individual opportunities that are open in my pipeline. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that I've been talking about with the customer regarding this Thanksgiving opportunity, and we've really progressed it. They're ready for us to give them a presentation. Well, if I'm looking individually at the detail view for this opportunity, I could switch the drop down to say, from initial communication to presentation in the stage area. If I click that opportunity, I'll go to the detail view, and sure, I could change this stage value from initial communication to presentation. I could do that. But on the pipeline view, one of the cool things that I can do is I need to hide this field again. It should have remembered to hide it. Is I can just click and drag this Thanksgiving opportunity over to the presentation column and release. And that easily is going to then make all the adjustments there. It's going to change the stage to presentation. It's going to change the probability, and it's going to change my weighted value. All just by doing that dragging. So this is a great way that you can interact with your opportunities at a glance and move them along to the stages that you want them to be in without having to leave this pipeline view. I don't know why I clicked on that. That was a little clumsy. But once you click and drag, it will always remember where these opportunities are in the what stages they're in your pipeline. Okay, so let's move along here to, I think, one of our last areas here, and that is Act Insight. So once you have been working with your opportunities over a period of time, you'll be able to use the Act Insight area to just give you, for lack of a better term, insight into the health of your business, into the efficiency of your sales department. And here's what I mean by that. There are lots of different graphs, and these are interactive graphs on various views of your dashboard, which can show you a wealth of information. So I'm going to jump in there and we're going to look at some of the views and charts that I have in Act Insight. By default, Act Insight is going to open what we call the Key Insights view. Now you can switch to different views by using this little options area on the right. When I click that, it's going to expand that frame. And you can see that the view I'm looking at is called Key Insights. And I'll cover more of this in just a little bit. We'll come back to this. I just want you to know that this little options button, the top right, it looks like a gear, is something that you should interact with because there's a lot of tools in here that you'll want to use. But let's start by just even looking at this first view, the Key Insights view. You can see it shows 4 different graphs. And for each of the graphs, there's a little question mark button. It's not really a button. It's just something you hover over. When you hover over that, it's going to give you a description of what this chart is meant to show you. So for business health, what this is showing me is my history of opportunities. It's showing me the green bars show me the potential opportunities that I had, and the blue bar shows me the actual opportunities that I closed. So you can look back over time to see, how we did. Did we have months that were exceptionally poor or good? How can we go back and analyze that and either replicate it or correct it. So this just gives you a quick view over a period of time, and even looking into the future a bit to see what your potentials are in the calendar moving forward. Most of these charts also have filtering options on them. So the very top right button, the little vertical ellipses button, when you click that, and each chart is different, it'll allow you to set filters for this chart. For example, on my business health chart, it's going to show me whether I want to look at this year's opportunities or last year's opportunities. So you can toggle back and forth between those two. You can also change your chart type. So if I switch to grouped, it's going to give me just lines instead of three-dimensional bars. And you can also view, I think, grouped 3D is a different kind of looking chart. So just depending on which style you like the most, you can choose that on this filtering screen. The revenue versus costs, this comes directly from the products and services list that we created earlier, where I have a cost value and a price value. And so this just helps you get an idea of how you're doing on your initial investments. Were your costs worth it or not? If your black line is closer to the top of the bar, that means you're not really making very much off of what you're spending. So what you really want to see happen is this black line be towards the lower side of these bars to show you that of what you're spending, you're getting a lot more revenue for it. And again, this is also filterable by date, and you can choose specific products if you want to look at those instead of all the products in your database. This chart shows me just the average number of days my opportunities are in each stage. I don't have a lot of great data here. Let me change maybe this filter to last year to see if I get better data there. And it does break it down into very, very detailed decimal amounts, but it just gives you a good idea over time to show you where your opportunities are getting stalled. So for me, I'm seeing that my negotiation stage and my commitment to buy stages are really taking almost 2 months on average. Maybe that's not acceptable. Maybe I need to change the way we do things here in my sales department to reduce the time that it takes to get from negotiation to commitment into the sales area, commitment fulfillment area. So a chart like this just helps you quickly look at your business and say, all right, well, here's what we're doing right, but here's what we need work on. And then this last chart is called competitive advantage. There's a field inside each of your opportunities called reason. And when you lose an opportunity, it's a good idea to put the reason why you lost it so that you can come back later and view this chart that shows you over time why we're losing any opportunities that we're losing. Was it their budget? Was it our pricing? Was it because of the pandemic? Whatever the reason might be, this is a great chart to look at to say, okay, how can we get better at winning by fixing the problems we have when we lose? And this chart will help you quickly identify any of those issues. Now, I should mention that on some of these charts, you can click on the actual bars, which will then give you the data from within that bar. So in this case, I see that this budget is a big reason for us losing a lot of opportunities. So I might just click that bar and it's going to show me every opportunity that we lost because of a budgetary reason. And now from here, I can click into any of these opportunities just to see the details and maybe drill down further with a little bit more specifics. So these charts are great for that because it can really help you get to the detail of any of the things that those numbers represent. The other view I want to show you is called sales metrics. So if you open your options menu on the right and you look for your select view dropdown, I'm going to change this from key insights to sales metrics. This is great when we're talking about sales opportunities and pipelines, because this shows me information based on my products and my team. So the top two charts here are showing me my past sales, the products we sold, and my representatives who were in charge, who were the account managers of those opportunities. So I can see which products are selling the most, which is great. And I can see which ones are struggling right now. So that just quickly helps me to make some decisions. Do I need to promote these more? maybe do I need to discontinue these because they're maybe not worth the effort? And just by looking at this chart, I can quickly start asking some questions. With my sales by rep, again, I can see each of my sales representatives, and this shows me a value based on their closed sales, also on whatever filters that I have set. So I'm showing all their sales for this year. If I switch this to maybe this quarter, these bars would change and it would show me some different information. So using your filters will help you get the data that you are most interested in seeing. And of course, I can click on any of these bars to show me the individual opportunities that that sales rep was responsible for winning. Down below, we'll see just kind of like a pie chart of my won sales versus my lost sales. To the right of that, though, now it's kind of showing me the future opportunities for my sales reps. So if this chart shows me the past sales that we've won, this one is showing me the open opportunities. So maybe somebody's numbers were low because they had a lot of opportunities in their pipeline currently. And so I really need to look at both of these charts together before I come down on somebody for not having great numbers. Maybe that's just because they have a lot of open opportunities currently that haven't been closed yet. And of course, this is also filterable by date, and you can show, or not by date, but by the users in your system, the different salespeople, and you can show, you can change the bars to show value or maybe number of opportunities if you want to look at it that way. Finally, this last chart is for forecasted sales by product. So again, if I talk about the products we've sold in the past, that's what this chart represents at the top. And this chart down at the bottom shows me my products that are currently in open opportunities in my pipeline. What are we planning on selling? What's in the horizon for our products? This is useful because if I have one product that's doing really well, maybe I need to reach out to my supplier and order more of those, or produce more of those, or hire more people to make sure I'm going to be able to fulfill those things. So this is useful for me in planning ahead. And so that's really what these charts are meant to do. As you close your opportunities, the numbers on these charts will change. These forecasted sales will now become realized sales. If we've lost any opportunities, those will show up as well on the other charts that I've mentioned before. And so that is a great way for you to keep on top of your opportunities, whether they are open or closed. So the last thing I want to do then is to address any questions that may have come up during the training. And so, Daniel, if you're around, are there any questions that need to be addressed publicly, or have all the questions kind of been resolved as they've come in?
I believe they've all been resolved as they've come in. There may be some that can certainly ask questions if they would like them.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll stay around a little bit longer if you have any more questions. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. We'll stay around if you have any extra questions. We'll stay around for about 10 more minutes, I think. In the meantime, I just want to thank you for joining us today. And don't forget, we will be sending out a link to the recording for this webinar to you. And also, if you have any requests for future training webinars, please share those with us. Include those in your surveys so that we know exactly what you want to know, and we can deliver that to you each month. So with that, I'll just say thank you very much for joining us today. It's been great having you here, and we look forward to talking to you again next month. Have a great day.